That's honey.
What up, guys? Welcome to another episode of the Tuna Status Podcast. I got another special guest here, my guy.
Jamie Kelly.
We're up here, we're chilling, we're gonna catch up, talk about some things, talk about, his life, his journey, influence with, car scene and how that, transitioned to other things, family life, dad life, husband life.
Yeah, a lot of it.
And maintaining the balance with everything that's going on and,
Yeah.
even have his own successful business. So let's start from the beginning, as we always do. How'd you get into this thing called cars?
I'd say it started young.
Mm-hmm.
I started with like TV shows, the Batmobile, the Ghostbusters car, like Back to the Future. Like I was obsessed with those kind of cars,
Mm-hmm.
and that's like as a kid, that's what I was playing with, Matchbox cars. And then as I got older, I just thought cars were cool. Like I didn't know anything about them.
Yeah.
I would just be like, riding my bike and see. I remember like, an IROC go by. I just thought it was cool.
Yeah.
And then once I got my license, all I thought about was cars. You have like the life before your license and the life after your license.
Yeah.
Where once I got my license, dude, I was driving a 91 Subaru wagon, which I thought was the biggest piece of shit. And
But you was outside though.
yeah, I remember it was the weirdest feeling. Like as soon as I got my license, go to the mall and bought a CD.
Mm-hmm.
I thought it was awesome. So then, since then, I was just like, I want to get a better car.
Yeah.
And I remember I was dead set on getting like it was a Mustang, a Trans Am, or a Mitsubishi Eclipse. Those were like the three cars that I wanted.
Mm.
And my parents had just bought a Dodge Stratus. I think they had it for like a year. And my dad didn't want me to buy anything unreliable, so they made a deal where
Any parent would
all the
say.
money that I saved up was like $3,000. I gave them that,
Mm-hmm.
and then I took over the payment.
Okay.
And then so now I'm like, 19 years old with almost pretty much a new car.
Mm-hmm.
And the whole reason I got that was because I just never seen anybody hook them up. Because I wanted to have a car that I could like modify.
Yeah.
That was probably one of the worst choices. Because it wasn't a popular car, but that's why I liked it, was because
Yeah.
it was something, I was like, oh, people will see this, so they'll think it's different.
Mm-hmm.
So that's kind of how I end up getting into cars.
So what was the first mods you started doing with the Stratus?
Did I remember? I dropped it off.
Mm-hmm.
So when Fast and Furious came out, all of a sudden I was like, oh, now I'm going to go crazy with this car.
Yeah.
And I put a bra, the light covers,
Mm-hmm.
and the window tint.
No shit.
Those were, I remember, and then the stupid chrome on the doors. Like
Oh
the door
my
edge.
God,
I was
dude.
like- and I did that. I was like, this is so cool. And I remember everybody was like, why would you do that? And I
Yeah.
ended up taking that off. But I just wanted to do something to the car. I was like so excited to have my own car.
So what were your goals? Because I mean, when we first get a car, we always have unrealistic, mixed, somewhat realistic goals for the car. What were some of yours?
Like as in what I wanted to do to the car.
Yeah, what you wanted to do?
So I just wanted to, well, one, I wanted just something that was completely different. That's why I didn't go for the Honda and all that stuff. And I just wanted something that I felt like was cool to drive around.
Yeah.
So I remember when I first got the car, my motivation for buying the car was I saw like they had a Dodge Stratus rally car.
Mm-hmm.
And I saw that picture and I was like, I want my car to be like that.
Okay.
That was like exactly what I wanted. Then I ended up, as you start building, your vision changes a little bit more to kind of what I wanted. Like,
Yeah.
that's what I wanted. And then as I was doing it, I was like, I kind of like this, I kind of like that. So I changed it a little bit. But originally, my intention was like to build a rally car. So that was kind of like originally what I was going to do. And then I kind of just went over the top.
So I mean, it's definitely a unique car, and as some of us when we were first building cars, as you know, we had the forums. People, if you had questions, if you're looking for a part, if you say, hey, I broke something, I need to find out how to fix it. Was there a community space for your car, or you kind of just had to figure out stuff?
No, there actually was. But I remember when I joined it, it was called Stratosphere, and I joined it, and there was like maybe 600 members at the time. And that was like, it was tough to find that actually. I remember when I found it, I thought I struck gold. And then I basically went on there with just a Stratus with a bra and light covers, and then but there was a lot of people on there, but nobody was really modifying the car that much because it wasn't really anything for that car.
Yeah.
And dude, I soon became like overloaded with DMs and things because I end up doing the Lamborghini doors. I end up doing the air ride.
Yeah.
Nobody on there had air ride. Nobody had Lamborghini doors, and I had all that. So like I remember just logging in. All of a sudden, it was like they made my car the top of the forum page and stuff. And I was
No
like,
shit. I know you was
like,
feeling yourself.
Dude, I was like, yeah. So right then I was like, okay, I think I'm like next level with this thing. So
Yeah.
I felt like I was the man. And it was, you know, my next thing was I wanted to do shows so bad.
Yeah.
I wanted to do shows, and my friends had a car club, StreetTrendz. That's where the whole name came from. So like my two goals was like I want to have a car good enough to get into my friend's car club, and I want to be able to like compete at shows.
Okay.
Those are like my two things. Once I went to shows, I like was hooked.
So now you brought up shows. What were some of the shows that you were hitting in the earlier days of you having the car?
Back then, my favorite one at the time was Import Wars. That was up New England Dragway.
Yeah.
Dude, they used to have these slap shows. You remember those things?
Yeah.
It was like top 30. I thought those were so cool.
Yeah.
Mostly at the time, because the car wasn't really, when I started, the car wasn't, too crazy. Mostly like local shows on the weekend. I would do like maybe, 2 or 3 shows. You'd hit a show that would be Sunday morning, then there'd be one in the Sunday afternoon. I'd go there.
Yeah.
A lot of little shows. And then eventually, Hot Import Nights came around. Which that was like, I couldn't wait for Hot Import Nights. The Dub Show came around.
Yeah.
And my favorite one had always been World of Wheels. I used to go to that before, so when I was able to put my car into World of Wheels, I felt like I had achieved something.
I kind of miss World of Wheels, man. It was always like that icebreaker for the season, no pun intended.
Everybody
like, just let us
hated the
know.
fact that it was in March.
Oh,
Like,
dude,
what
it was
I mean?
like a deadline for us. So like, as soon as like that came, you knew that your car,
Yeah.
the wheels had to be put on suspension, wrap, paint, whatever you were doing had to be done.
Yeah.
By then, even if you weren't going to World of Wheels, you knew out here for us that was
That
like,
was like
hey,
opening season.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Exactly.
And World of Wheels was like, to me, was just, when it was at Bayside, it was so big.
Yeah.
And it was just, dude, I remember I felt like I was walking for days in there. And the fact that I had my car in there, it was so cool. And I remember one year they gave me, as soon as you walked in the main door, they had
Yeah.
me right to the right. It was like one of the first cars right next to the AAF booth. I remember being so excited about that. It was just so cool to have my car on display. I just like seeing people's reaction to seeing the car,
So let's talk about, now you're at the shows and competing. What was competing, especially in such a niche car, what was that like?
It was cool because it was a different car, but they had me up against Dodge Magnums, which were like the new car that everybody was wanting, the Chrysler
Yeah.
300s. So like, it wasn't like I was put in one of those categories where there's only 4 cars. I was playing against some fucking
Some real heavy hitters.
big. Yeah. I remember
Because with the
going to-
Magnums, everybody was big
Dude,
wheels,
those Magnums
TVs
were
everywhere.
And at the time, I remember I worked for Dodge, so every time a Magnum came in, I'm like, oh man, another one. And I liked that whole competitive nature.
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember going. The other one was Neons. Neons were everywhere too.
SRT4s
and people were going crazy.
were-
And then SRT4s had just come out. So it was kind of cool, but at the same time, it wasn't like a main category to
Yeah.
me. Like everybody has their own car, their own category, but it was. I don't know how to explain that. Like it wasn't a major achievement.
Yeah,
But it felt good to me.
exactly.
You know what I mean?
Makes sense.
I wasn't winning best of shows, but I did at the slap show.
Yeah.
But at the real show, I mean, but it was such a cool achievement, to go against those kind of guys.
Now, rumor is, back in the day at them shows, there was somebody that was on your ass.
Fucking Tony Torres. Yeah, Tony.
How'd you come across meeting Tony?
He had his Sebring. I remember, dude. I didn't like that car. No, I just remember Tony being in my category and stuff,
Yeah.
and it was like a friendly hate kind of.
Yeah.
If that's how I explain it. Like
Yeah.
I'd be like, oh damn, there's that kid with that Sebring again, and
How long was it before you two finally was just like, you know what? What's up?
Probably. I'd have to guess, but I would say maybe at most a year.
So you hated him for a year.
So not hated him, but just like, oh, that dude, fucking Sebring. You look, because me and Tony's cars were very comparable.
Yeah.
Almost everything, like he had the 2-door, I had a 4-door, but he had the Gucci interior, I had the Gucci interior. We had every single thing that I had, he had.
Okay.
So we're very close. And
Wow.
dude, I just remember being like, oh, here it is again. And then I got to a point where it was like we were at a show and we all went to a show together. Like he was with Inner City Lowriders, I was with StreetTrendz.
Yeah.
And we all went to some show up in New Hampshire. And then after that, like my crew never did shows again. So I'd go to shows and I would still see Tony, and I think his crew kind of stopped doing the shows too.
Yeah.
And it kind of was like, hey, you can still go. Let's just roll together. And then since then, we've just been kind of cool ever since, talking shit to each other nonstop.
So at this point, you've had the car for how long?
I had my Stratus from, let's see, I was in high school, and I got rid of it in 2010. So I had it I graduated in 2000. I had it for like 10 years.
Yeah. Is the car local or is it gone out of here?
It's man, so I wish I never sold that car. I had so much money into that car.
I know the feeling.
And then I bought my house.
Yeah.
So once I bought my house, I didn't really, plus I had another car. I had an SRT. I went out and bought an SRT4. So I had the Stratus, I had the SRT4, and then I had a house. And then, no, I'm sorry, I didn't have the house yet. Then I sold the SRT4. I'm completely wrong. I had a Stratus, SRT4, and a WRX. Sold the SRT4, had the WRX and the Stratus, and then bought my house. And then almost never drove the Stratus.
No
So it was like, oh, I'm gonna go take it out. I'd drive to my mom's house, it would be dead, I wouldn't take it out. So that went on for like a year, and then I sold it for $3,000.
No way. Oh my.
So I paid like more for like the air ride. To a guy in Maine, and then that guy blew the motor and junked it. So it ended up in a junkyard in New Hampshire.
No shit, dude.
So I wish I never sold that.
Yeah, I've been there before with my, Red SCI. I regret selling that to this day. So beyond the cars, what is life like at this point? You just got rid of that. You just got the house. It seems like you was making decisions for actual life type stuff.
So I end up transitioning from the car to the house. All the money that I was putting into the car, now I'm putting into a house. On the weekends, instead of going to car shows, I'm doing work on the house.
Yeah.
And so the car was sitting. I sold the car, and immediately when I sold the car, like I regretted it. And then I ended up, I actually took that money, and then I just went out to Vegas. And when I was out in Vegas, like, dude, I would see like the old school cars that you don't really see too much out here. So before I had sold the car, when I was out in Vegas, I seen a dropped Cadillac. Thing was bagged out on like the 100-spoke wheels.
Yeah.
And I was like immediately in love with that. I'm like, dude, this thing is like one of the coolest cars I've ever seen. So after I sold the Stratus, I started looking for Cadillacs.
Yeah.
And so I'm like, now I'm going to get back in the game. And I come across the Lincolns, and I had never seen the Lincolns anywhere. So I ended up going hard on trying to find a Lincoln, and then I finally grabbed the Lincoln over here in Lynn.
What's it like trying to find? Because I mean, that's an older car that's seen a lot of seasons.
Dude, I found one with no interior, no hood, no trunk, didn't run, $3,500. So that's like the price range of what I was looking at.
Yeah.
So I finally found mine. It was in a garage in Lynn. The guy that had owned it was like 90. He was passing away. Son-in-law was selling it. They were asking $2,400. I was gonna offer him $800, but it didn't, because it didn't run. Figuring he'd come back with like $2,000.
Yeah.
And he was like, just take it for $800. So I grabbed it for $800, and then that started my scene in the Lincoln game, which is a headache.
Oh my gosh.
Dude, that car was, everything cost, there's like a Lincoln tax. Everything cost 5 times more.
Yeah.
Everything was impossible to find. It was a headache. So sometimes I wish I went for the Cadillac.
Yeah. Now you're getting into the Lincoln game, and that's just, I can't imagine what it's like modifying those. Like, whatever you do find, you got to keep, because if you don't, it's probably expensive or hard as hell to find.
Yeah, I mean, my first experience with looking for something, so I was gonna do I remember I was pulling the brakes off. I was gonna do the brakes, and there was all drums, and I'm hammering it, and as I'm hammering it, it cracked.
Yeah.
So I'm like, shit, now I need a new drum. I'm used to, Subaru. I can go to AutoZone and get one for $40, $50,
Yeah.
whatever. And I had to go on eBay, contact the guy. He had one drum, $450. And I remember messaging him. I was like, hey, I just need one. And he's like, this is for one. And that's when I was like, holy shit. I remember I needed a fuel tank, My buddy bought a brand new fuel tank for his Cadillac with the sending unit. All that was like $300. And I found only one. It was in Florida. It was like $900 plus shipping, and didn't include the pump, just the tank, and it was used.
You literally picked the best car to work on.
It was the worst. It was the worst. But driving that car was like such a good feeling.
Yeah.
I mean, at the time, you know, I'd pull in somewhere and there was not another Lincoln around. Now there's a couple around when I dude, at the time I remember I'd go to Bass Pro Shop, there would only be me. There was no other Lincoln. I remember when I saw another one there, I was shocked. But it's just such a gangster like car. I loved it.
Yeah, you
was
mobbing
so
that
big.
car. It's
Oh,
huge.
Dude, it's so big.
Like, I mean, yo, we're gonna have to do rollers over Zagum
Yeah,
at least
yeah.
once
I
before
know.
the summer's
if it'll
done.
make it.
Listen,
should
we're gonna
make
send
it
it.
now.
We're
No, every time.
gonna drag out LaShawn.
Every time I take it out, this like something goes wrong.
But that's a project car, though.
Yeah, it's been
That's a
project
project
for fucking
car.
like 12 years.
Oh my.
And my wife hates it.
Oh my
She
gosh.
hates it.
So.
Dude, even at my wedding, we had it. I was like, when we got married, I was like, I just want to have the Lincoln there. So I parked it in the front. And at the end, in the video, we all, you know, they do like this goodbye, and we all got in the Lincoln. It wouldn't start.
Oh shit.
So in the wedding video, it's cranking.
Yeah.
And finally, it fires up, and everybody's like, "Yay!" Finally started.
So now, the business. How did you start the business? How did you get into the metal art?
That was like kind of just a mistake, because I always, like I've said before, I always was into like Orange County Choppers and Jesse James, and I always thought welding was cool.
Yeah.
And I mean, I remember that's how I ended up like in an automotive school, was because I was watching stuff like that, and I just thought it was cool. We got a welder at work. I just had an idea trying to make something to put in my yard because I had just gotten my house. And I, you know, welded a little elephant, didn't know how to weld. Everything fell apart. And then a couple months later, my dog had passed. So I was like, oh, I'm gonna try it again. And I made a little dog, figured out how to weld.
Yeah.
Made another dog, made, you know, a couple little things. And then people told me I should sell it, which I thought was the stupidest thing I ever heard. Put it on Facebook Marketplace, sold everything. Like within a week. I was like, all right. So I made some more things, put it on Facebook Marketplace, sold everything in a week. I was like, oh, all right. Kid messaged me and was like, hey, can you, I think it was a Batman logo. He was like, hey, can you do a Batman logo? So yeah. And then another kid, hey, can you do an owl? So then people started taking like requests. Then I said, all right. So then I made it like a legitimate Facebook page.
Yeah.
I remember being so excited. I got like 60 followers.
No shit.
Like, oh,
yeah,
this is
but
awesome.
he was like, yo,
Yeah.
things booming.
And I was selling like one piece a week. I was getting like an extra like, you know, 60, 70 bucks a week. I'm like, this is perfect. So I thought, you know, then I remember being like, all right, if I could do enough to save and buy the wheels for my Lincoln, that would be awesome.
Yeah.
So I ended up doing that. Saved up for the wheels, and I was like, oh, all right, cool. If I could save up enough to do the air ride. And then I realized, like, oh, the more I do this, the more money I'm making.
Yeah.
And then it just, dude, it became like constant messages. And my flat rate mentality was like, just weld. So I was just welding nonstop every day. And it just kind of picked up and then got to where it is now. I didn't ever would have thought it would have gotten to where it is.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'm blessed, obviously. I'm thankful. But yeah, it became almost, I mean, basically a full-time job.
That's
you
dope.
know?
So the business is now up and running, and you got the ball started. The Facebook page is going. You're developing a client base. What's some of the doors that, you know, doing the metal art has opened up for you over the years?
A lot of exposure. Doors that were open, like, well, a lot of exposure from online.
Yes.
It started off where, like, I was getting, companies were sending me tools, which was kind of cool, like screwdrivers and stuff like that.
Yeah.
And then got to meet a lot of people, make cool pieces for people. I had TV shows reach out to me. Shameless on Showtime. I ended up doing, making like pieces for like Ripley's, believe it or not, the
That's
museum.
dope. That's dope.
I ended up doing some guitars for them. And then just meeting like, all right, so like this past year I got to go to World of Wheels in Detroit. And
What was that like?
dude, it was awesome. It was hectic, very stressful, but it was such a cool experience because since I started doing this, that's like one thing that I really wanted to do.
Did you go as a spectator or were you actually in the event?
No, I was working.
Oh, shoot. So that's another level of stress
I
then.
wish I got to walk around like really one time.
Yeah.
Once we got there, we all set up. I actually got to walk around and take a look at like the cars, and then I was working the whole time. But Mob Steel, which is the company that, you know, influenced me to buy my Lincoln, and they're the wheels I have in my car, the Detroit Steel wheels. They ended up reaching out to me, having me build their trophy for the World of Wheels, so that was really cool. I'm trying to think. I mean, a lot of just making pieces for cool people. I got a piece, made pieces for Pauly D.
That's dope.
Pieces for Kev Dog from Bitchin' Rides. The girls, I think all the girls from All Girls Garage.
Yeah.
Just stuff like that. Just kind of cool things that I never thought I'd be able to do. And then actually meeting like Gene Winfield, who's a hot rod legend.
Yeah.
That was cool to meet him and have him come over to my booth a bunch of times. Every year at World of Wheels in Boston, he would come by and say what's up, which was really cool. Stuff like that.
Yeah.
Things that I didn't ever expect to.
That's dope.
Never expected to do that.
Well, definitely congrats on the ever-growing success. Now you say you're married.
Yep.
How's life with balancing cars, business, family?
I'm lucky where my wife is like very understandable with like, I'm like, hey, I got a car show, I got this, and she's like, go for it. She knows the cars are like, my wife hates cars, wants nothing to do with cars. I painted my car black, she didn't even notice. But she's cool where she understands like, I like that.
Yeah.
I have my shop at my house.
Nice.
So I work overnights and then I'd come home and I'd weld like all day. It kind of got to the point where she was like, hey, I think you're working too much. So I had to step back a little bit. So now like I'll weld till like 3 instead of welding till like 5 or 6.
Okay.
But I'm lucky that I can just come in the house and have, but yeah, you have to have that balance of, can't always be working.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
I got you.
So try to take, try to do like, I don't try to go to every show now.
Yeah.
So I wish she liked cars though. She definitely doesn't like any of them.
So now on the other side of the family aspect, you're part of the girl dad gang.
Yep.
What's that like? Is
That's
she more
awesome.
like you or is she more like mom?
Jess thinks that she's like me. I think I see a lot in me because she's like really my mother says she's exactly like me when I was a kid. She picks up things really fast. She's very like mechanical.
Nice.
She can figure stuff out.
Yeah.
Like, I'm like, give her a pen. Hey, draw a face, and she can do it. She's only 3, and she does it. So I think that she has like a lot of my characteristics when it comes to like being creative and stuff. But I think her attitude is just like her mom. That Portuguese coming out. You say one thing and she starts yelling at me. But I love it. I'm so glad. Like, if I have another one, I think I want a girl again.
Yeah.
I like having the girl.
Yeah, girls are chill, man. You come home, like boys, they're on 10. It's like wrestle, fight, play, let's go bike. Yo,
always
all the whole
messy.
stuff. Yo, dude, it is all you are constantly just cleaning. Whereas girls, you just come back and it's just smooth but what gets me, I get told I'm too soft. She gets away with murder. I try, but then as soon as I say something, the lip comes out, she starts tearing up, and I'm like, all right, cool, I'm sorry. What do you want? It's all yours.
I try to like lay the law down and then I give in too quick sometimes.
Yeah,
but,
man. I tried. It's hard with the girls. But meanwhile, the boys, I'm like, hey. and they all know better. But which car is she like?
She likes the Lincoln.
Yeah?
Actually, yeah, we were asking her the other day when we were like, which car is your favorite? Which car is your favorite? And she's like, oh, I like the Lincoln. She knows each name. She's like, oh, that's the Lincoln. That's the Corvette. She knows them all. But she likes the Lincoln. The truck she thinks is too loud. She doesn't like the truck because it's too loud.
So let's talk. Well, let me ask this first. Which car is she gonna learn to get her license in?
Mom's car.
Yeah.
Because mine don't run.
Oh man, imagine trying to learn a K-turn in the truck.
Dude, she'll hit me right in the mouth too. She's like, Daddy's cars are always broken.
Oh
like,
shit.
Oh, man, you're talking to your mom too much.
Oh man.
That's what happens. You deal with old cars.
Yeah. So let's talk about the truck. How'd you get into the truck? I mean, first time I seen that truck, first thing I thought, holy shit, Jeepers Creepers.
That everybody says
Dude.
Jeepers Creepers, yeah.
But that truck is nasty. What
is-
made you want to get into the truck?
I love rat rods.
Yeah.
So like I was for the last couple of years I wanted a rat rod bad, and I was dead set on getting like a 1930 Ford. That's
Yeah.
what I wanted,
So it was locked in. You was just like, I'm not budging.
Dude, I
This
was
is what
looking
I
everywhere.
want.
Yeah, I was dead set on it. And then, you know, I needed a truck for the business.
Mm-hmm.
So I started looking for trucks. And then I'm like, you know what? I kind of want to do a rat rod truck. And Mob Steel, again, they had a Lodestar.
Yeah.
Which when I saw that, so me and Tony went out to SEMA one year, and I saw that truck in person, and I thought it was just such a cool, unique-looking truck.
Mm-hmm.
You know, because it has the big fenders and all that stuff.
Yeah.
It looked real aggressive. And then when I was looking for a truck, just for the hell of it, one day I'm like looking at internationals, and I found one, and I was like, oh shit, and bought it unseen. I just saw, like, I remember the guy called me. It was in a farm in Connecticut, and the guy was like, hey, it doesn't run. I'm like, I just want the body.
Yeah.
So I got that, and then I bought a 2000 GMC, cut everything up, and then put the truck body on and welded it. So
The work yourself?
I did everything myself in the garage.
No shit.
This was like right when I bought my house, COVID was going on. So I spent like 9 months just doing everything myself. So I got pictures of you got the GMC frame with just the floor and a steering wheel. Then I took the 71, cut out the whole bottom, put it right down, just welded everything in. So if you're in the car, you have a modern speedometer. And if anything I need, I can go to AutoZone. And then I lowered.
Unlike the Lincoln.
Yes, yeah. I actually needed brakes. I had to get brakes right before a Tuner Revo, and I went right into O'Reilly's and bought them. I was like, this is awesome.
So see that? Dad's car does run.
The truck is probably the most reliable car I think I have. That thing is awesome. And then I lowered it down where I want it, so it looks like it's a slammed truck, but it's on a chassis that's not slammed. So it rides actually really good. My whole motivation for getting that was, one, I needed a truck for work, and then in my head, I'm like, if I go to a show and I had that, it's like a billboard that you can't miss. Everybody sees it.
No, you definitely can't miss that
Dude,
truck.
People's reaction to that truck is, I built that truck 100% for me. I was like, this is gonna be cool. Some people build their car and they're like, oh, people will think this is cool, people will think this is cool. But when I built that truck, everything I did because I thought was cool. Like the seats in it, oil buckets. And everybody's like, why would you do that? I'm like, because I think it's cool. But people think it's crazy, I like it. I thought people would see that truck and then come over, and then I'd have a table full of metal that I could try to sell them.
Yeah.
And that's kind of the motivation for building that like that, you know.
I like the truck because when you see your artwork online, you can see the direct extension where it all lines up together and it makes sense as far as being a representation of a part of who you are and things like that.
Yeah, I agree.
So the truck now outside, I see a lot of people spending time looking at everything on the truck. It's dope.
Every time you look at something, there'll be something else.
It's always something different that, people look at, some of the art that you have on the side or on the back and, just the work. And what's some of the questions you get with the truck?
Everybody asks me about the seats.
Yeah.
Everybody, asks me. Some people don't know what kind it is. They all ask about it. Everybody asks if it's comfortable. Everybody asks me if it's for sale. Yeah. Every time. Dude, I can't go to Home Depot. I'll tell my wife, I'm like, hey, I'm running to Home Depot real quick. And I'll come back like an hour later. She'll be like, where the hell have you been? I'm like, dude, I came out. This guy wanted to take pictures of the car. This guy wanted to ask me questions. Every time I come out in Home Depot, there's like somebody standing around the car taking a picture. I've gotten people.
Was there a price you almost entertained?
No. But I had a guy say, he asked me, is it for sale? I said, no. He's like, no, you have a price. You have a price. I said, no. He's like, I'll give you $28,000. And I said, no. I'm like, no. And I'm into it for way less than that because I did everything myself.
I know, I can't imagine.
I'm into that truck for probably just under $7,000.
No shit.
And I could have made my money back big time. But then I'd have to build another one. And to me, it was like, I've already sold cars and regretted it. And I think that's my favorite car I've ever had.
Yeah.
So I don't think I'd ever sell that truck. That truck to me is like, I'd take that car out over any car I have. I think it's fucking awesome. I love it.
Over the vet?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah.
So sticking along the lines of things with the car scene, you're part of the summer send-off team. What's that been like for you? Every year going out, helping to put together a really dope event.
Summer send-off, I started out, when Tony first started the show, I was an attendee. I went and competed. I think the first maybe two or 3 years. I don't even remember. And then, me and Tony were always talking about the show and stuff. And then finally, when he asked me to start helping out, I went all in. Anything he needed me help him out with, I did. Dude, I love it. It's a lot of fun. I mean, I think that we have a really good team.
Yeah.
You know, everybody that is on the team, you know, they're pretty cool people to hang around with. And I think people don't realize the amount of effort that that team puts in. And Tony is working like nonstop, year round, and it's fun to be a part of that. You know what I mean? I mean, I think Summer Send Off is a staple show in this area.
Yeah, definitely is. So for anybody who hasn't been to Summer Send Off, how would you best describe the event?
Hot.
Yeah? Yeah.
Hot.
Every year, I don't think we've missed a summer as long as I've been on.
Tony has a good track record with the weather, but
Yeah, dude.
but it's always hot.
Because it's funny because as a promoter, people used to say the same thing to me when I was hosting events at Fuddruckers. They'd be like, dude, it is hot every year in this parking lot. And I'm like, yeah, but you know, we work through it. And I'm just like, I'm so busy running around throughout the day. Yes, and actually I feel the heat.
Yeah.
But I'm just like, boom, the show starts, the show ends, that's it.
Yeah. I mean, you'd rather it be
now-
hot than rain.
But
so-
now that I'm an attendee at the show and I'm seeing that heat and you're there all day, holy shit, it hits different. I mean,
Yeah.
especially by the time we get up on that roof,
Oh my God, I hate that roof. I hate that roof.
you know.
But I mean, I think it's an awesome event. You have a good mixture of cars, and it's like a whole family-orientated car show. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Like you can bring the family out. You can walk the whole lot. You don't even have to stay all day. You can walk the whole lot, and it's in a good location. You can just take off. It's not like you have to go downtown Boston or jump on the highway and all this. Like,
Yeah.
it's easy accessible. You know, Tony does a great job of making sure everybody's pretty much entertained during the day and has food and drinks and all that stuff. Like, you know, there. He puts a lot of effort into it. I think it's a really well put together show.
So being well versed in the car scene for, I don't want to put an age on it, but a decent amount of time, how do you feel? Because I mean, we're the most seasoned vets, and now we're looking at these younger guys the same way how the older guys probably looked at us. How are you feeling about the car scene and where it stands today?
I mean, you don't want to sound like the old guy. You know what I mean? Because I remember when I first started going into shows, people would be like, the old guys like, oh, here comes the import kids, and we'd be like, you know, oh, you know, we're still working on our cars just like you guys are working on your cars.
Yeah.
So you don't want to sound like that old asshole, but at the same time, it's like, I think the internet really fucked up a lot of stuff.
Yeah.
Yeah, I think so, because people now are quick to complain. They wouldn't. I mean, back in the day, if you had an issue, it's not like you're walking up to the promoter and yelling at him and telling him what you think, right? So, but at home, you can do it behind the keyboard. And I don't know. I've said before, I feel like the effort into the cars is lacking.
Yeah.
People make their cars so it looks cool online, and only for a certain. I build cars that I'm going to keep for a long time. I feel like there's a turnover rate on cars nowadays is like.
It's crazy.
that.
It's crazy.
You know what I mean? To put all this money into a car
I'm
and then get
guilty
rid
of
of it.
I'm so bad.
I guess I don't know. Maybe I get attached, but I just feel like I'll change things here and there, but I feel like some cars you see that full build and then it's just gone. And then it's another build, full build gone. So are you just building cars just to get the attention, or are you building cars because you want to build like a nice quality car that you want to actually?
Yeah.
Like sometimes, like back in the day, we used to know everybody for their car.
I know.
Nowadays, it's like, oh, that's the guy with the Honda. Oh wait, no, now he has a BMW. Oh no, you know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
I just feel like people go through cars like that now.
And then
It's different to me.
the dissociation begins where you no longer know the person, you just know the car.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of people where you just like, people don't even know their first name or whatever. It's just like, oh, that's that bagged, blah, blah, blah. And it's like, yeah, but what about the guy who's driving it? Like, they don't know anything about the owner anymore. Like, I've seen a handful of shows where somebody will be talking about the car and the owner will be standing right there, but they won't say anything to the owner.
Yeah.
And it's weird to see that happening now and how we're in that space.
Yep.
Or when you're at a show, it's rare at shows that I see people walking around really saying, oh, that's different, or that's cool, or that's nice, or just taking in the car as far as being different.
I don't feel like people are pushing that envelope anymore.
Yeah.
To the point where it's like nobody's really making a car that you walk by and you have to stop and be like, holy shit. Like I remember Matt from Custom Creations had that the green Integra.
Yeah.
With the doors everywhere and stuff. And I remember like walking.
I remember that.
You saw that and you were like, dude, you have to go look at
Yeah.
that. Like that, you have to go make sure you go look at that car. And I feel like there's no car that I could think of off the top of my head where you're like, you know, you see it from across the parking lot and you're like, oh shit, you run over. Not to say that people aren't building good quality cars. People, there is.
I just think it's the extremes is different now because, you know,
Well, that was
the
also
younger
that time.
Yeah, that time.
Yeah.
You know, the younger guys look at us and they're like, oh, well, you want us to do all this work to our cars and blah, blah, blah. Well, that was just that era for you guys. In our era, this is where we push the envelope, so it's different.
So I agree with that in a way where like our era, you had TVs in the engine bay and TVs in the headrest and
Which was
TVs in
dope.
the
Which was dope.
TV,
Motherfucking PS2 and that shit and all that stuff.
I mean, oh my God, dude. Some people had like 40 TVs in the car, which,
Yeah.
you know, it was crazy. I remember a guy had TVs in his rims. That is a little ridiculous now, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
But it was something different that you never saw. And nowadays, you don't really see stuff that's different that you've never seen before.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? I feel like they'll build the car and then it gets to here and they're like, all right,
Then it
sell
stops. Yeah.
sell, let's get another car. You
Yeah.
know what I mean? I feel like it's more building it for the online cloud.
For the instant gratification.
Yeah.
I get it. I get it. So keeping on the topic of what you see online isn't necessarily what you get in person. Now, you've been to SEMA.
Yep.
What's that like?
SEMA's crazy.
Yeah.
SEMA's like a whole different level of cars. But a lot of those are company-built cars.
Yeah.
So the budgets are there, and they're only building, some of those cars are only built to display at SEMA. You know what I mean? Not a lot of those. I mean, some of them are driven, but
Yeah.
the majority of that is, you know, MagnaFlow needs a car. Here's $1 million, build us a car, and they
Yeah.
put it in the booth. The quality is crazy. I mean, they get a bad rep for the, like the drive shafts and stuff like that. I mean, you're gonna have that everywhere.
Yeah.
But overall, the SEMA quality. I mean, I remember the first year I went out to SEMA, I couldn't believe it. I felt like I think we walked like 54 miles.
Shit.
So it was crazy. It was crazy.
'Cause I've never been to SEMA.
SEMA's,
ever.
it's a good time. I tell everybody that is into cars has to go at least once. I've been telling my brother-in-law he's got to come out.
What was your first year that you went?
2015.
No shit.
And I remember, like, I was blown away. I couldn't believe the amount of cars. And I was standing in the West Coast Customs booth right as there was a hailstorm. And you see Justin Bieber's Ferrari just hailing. I was like, oh my goodness. And it lasted like a couple minutes and then it stopped. But I remember that. But SEMA it was crazy.
Yeah.
And everywhere you went, like, you didn't see everything. There's no way to see everything there. It was just too much. And then I went again. The last 2 years that I went, when did I go? 19 again, and then I went in I think 2023.
Okay.
But I was mostly doing marketing where I was like meeting up with people and handing cards and more for pitches and stuff like that. It wasn't really.
Yeah.
I want to go back and be able to like walk around and actually enjoy the show.
You gonna go back this year?
No,
No.
I won't go back for a few years.
Yeah. Taking a break.
Yeah, it kind of went down
Yeah.
after COVID too. They say
shit.
they're coming back, but I want to go somewhere else.
What year was it? It was the year of the wide body. I remember everybody was like, dude, every fucking thing was wide body.
When I was there, I think 15, it was
Yeah, was it?
it was wide body and red rims everywhere.
Yeah.
Red rims
Oh,
everywhere. Because I remember my buddy just got a vet, and I was like, dude, you got to put red rims on that thing. We went out there, and every car had red rims. And holy shit.
Dude, that's fucking crazy.
Yeah. They know all this stuff when it's
Yeah.
coming out, I think. You know, so they know the trends.
Now let's talk about what's next for you with the company, the family, the cars.
I mean, I'm in the process of doing the vet. I got it to like kind of where I want it, and I want to still do a couple of little things. I want to. That whole reason I got that vet was because I wanted to bag a vet.
I know a
and-
guy.
What's up?
I know a guy.
Yeah.
I know a guy.
I know a couple too. Yeah. That was the whole reason I just wanted a bag. I don't know why. Out of nowhere, I was like, well, not out of nowhere. My whole thing was I wanted a Viper, and the more I looked, the vet just seemed more practical.
It would have been nice to see an RT10 at the cookout. I'd have been like, yo, let me do
Yeah,
let me do a couple pulls on
They
your
got the
street.
COVID tax on those, and prices went through the roof. And then, yeah, they got the vet from George.
Yeah.
I think it was the last cookout actually. He convinced me to come look at it. So I want to bag that. I want to do a full interior, and then I'm going to be done with that. I want to get my Lincoln done. I want to finish the interior of that. I want to drive it, and I want to do more shows. I haven't done any shows. I mean, we did Tuner Evo. I thought that I had so much fun. Like actually, it's the first time I actually set up at a show, like my car. I'd like to do that some more.
Yeah.
I know me and Tony are talking about doing Tuner Evo again next year, and I want to do Syracuse Nationals, which is a huge like hot rod.
Yeah.
You know, I love doing the hot rod shows and the muscle cars and stuff like that. It's just a whole different vibe.
Okay.
That's probably, you know, that'll be a big show in New York that I'm going to end up doing. That'll be next summer.
All right, now we're coming to the part of the podcast where I generally like to ask my guests 2 questions, and once again, I appreciate you stopping by and taking the time to tell your story to, us over here at Tuna Status. The first question being, what was your favorite year in the car scene to you, and what was that like?
2002, 2005.
It's different. Everybody says, everybody who's come up here was like 2016 to 2020.
2000, that era, so it was, I was already into the cars. Everybody was all hyped on the cars. And then it was like Fast and Furious hit.
Yeah.
And dude, it was like hit fast forward all of a sudden.
I know.
I
know.
I remember
was such a spark in the scene. It was wild.
I don't remember what movie it was, but I remember watching. I was at the movies, and I remember they played the preview, and I just remember they had the cars pull up, and immediately I was like, oh shit. And then, dude, since then it was like everything went full speed, and it was crazy. I remember I was going out to Brockton. Brockton had the races every Sunday. They call them the races, which is actually just like a crazy meet.
Yeah.
But everybody was going to Brockton Burger King and the mall and all that stuff. And, dude, it was insane. And I used to carry my camera everywhere, so I videoed everything.
Yeah.
And like even looking back at that, it looked like a movie. It looked like a movie. Every car you just had all these show cars just meeting up. And then you'd have a couple races, you go to another spot. It was just such a fun time that you can't duplicate. And I'm glad that I had the videos because I can actually look back and see it. And it was just such a fun time. And I think to me that was like the best time in the car scene, and everything was new.
Yeah.
There was always new things coming out, like Street Glow was new. All of a sudden, then they came out with the new colors. Then it was like
AEM, computer management,
dude,
all that stuff like that.
So much stuff that you never seen before. I mean, I remember, dude had a 40-inch TV in his truck. I'm like, geez, just crazy stuff that you were like, what the hell?
Yeah.
It was just stuff that you didn't see before, and everything was new, and I liked that. And I feel like nothing will ever beat that.
I feel like the last boom that we had, like we said, was the wide bodies, because the wide bodies really gave that supercharge as far as creativity in the car scene.
I'd agree with that. It was like probably the new thing, and now you see them all over the place.
Yeah.
But I don't know if anything can ever duplicate that era, because I felt like there was always new stuff, and shows just started because there wasn't a lot of shows around. Then all of a sudden they started coming out where everybody was having shows. So it was just cool. Everybody was out, and that's how most of my friends that I still talk to today, that's like how I met them.
Yeah.
Was because you met them and then you just started hanging out, and that's when the StreetTrendz Car Club started in 2002, and we're all still, I think I'm the only one with cars left, but we're all still friends.
Yeah, I think that's one of the biggest things about that era, is as far as the difference between today and then. There was more personality because it was fueled more by the people than the cars. There was so much energy in the scene. There was the owners then there was the builders, and no disrespect to anybody, but I mean, we know the difference between somebody who owns the car and somebody who actually played a role and built their car. Yeah. Then you had the import models who all over the place,
Yeah, it was such a big.
Then you had, it garnered so much attention. Then you started seeing big names like Magnaflow, Valvoline, and AEM, and Sparco, and all these companies and all these vendors were coming out, and their energy was big budgets. They knew they had a big booth, and it, you know,
yeah.
it was crazy.
Yeah.
And every show had the energy of like SEMA.
Everything felt like a nightclub,
Yeah.
which was so cool. Like
Yeah.
even like the Hot and Point Night, when Hot and Point Nights finally came, I think it was like 05. That was such a cool event. You know, I was reading all the magazines,
Yeah.
and I would see the coverage of Hot and Point Nights, and I thought that was the coolest show.
Yeah.
And then when they finally announced they were coming here, dude, I remember we went crazy. We were so excited for that show, and I think, you know, we went down there. My car ended up not being ready because I broke my front bumper. But I think we had like 13 cars in that show as a club.
Yeah.
And dude, it felt like we were at a nightclub. And we were like big club kids back then, so being there with all the lights off and the DJs going and
Yeah.
the dances, and it was so cool.
That's what's up.
And I think that was the best time. And then I think it was like 06. I got Best Domestic at Hot and Point Nights, which I was so excited because that was a show that I really like was into.
Yeah.
So that was a good feeling.
So now, for the second question, I always give a disclaimer to you guys, you know, not to be morbid or anything like that, but just to speak on it, you know, at the end of the day, what's something that you want to be known for, respected for, and acknowledged for amongst friends, peers, family members, people in the car scene, people who have nothing to do with cars, just people who know you?
I would say, you know, overall a good person. I mean, I would say I'm pretty loyal to my friends and family. You know, anything that people need, they ask. You know, I help out anytime I can.
Yeah.
And even just, you know, new people that I meet, if somebody needs something, you know, I always like to, basically my dad is kind of like, always was like, don't give anybody a reason to have something negative to say about you. You know what I mean? And so I kind of took that, where my dad is like the nicest dude in the world. Kind of like that.
Yeah.
Car-wise, like, just I like to just be known as like somebody who just builds cool shit.
Yeah.
Like cars, art, just stuff, you know. A lot of people that I see at these shows are not car people. They're just there with car people, and they love my stuff.
Yeah.
And the stuff that I have online, people love, and they'll message me all the time. So I think it's kind of cool that I get a lot of different people, even that aren't in the automotive scene at all, that like my stuff.
All right, man. Once again, I really want to thank you, and I appreciate you taking time out of your day for pulling up and once again sharing your story with us. Where can the people find you at as far as online?
At StreetTrendz Metal Art.
Okay.
On, you know, Instagram, Facebook, pretty much everything. Instagram, Facebook, TikTok, Etsy. I got an Etsy shop. StreetTrendzMetalArt.com. It has links to all of that stuff too. And
Any shout outs?
shout out Summer Send Off, August 11th.
Yes, sir.
Summer Send Off and the crew. Shout out to, I would say, Jess, my wife, Philomena, and all my friends and family. And thanks, Rex, for having me come through.
All right. Huge thank you to Fusion 5 Motorsports for once again sponsoring today's podcast. Thank you to my guy for coming out. Until the next time, you guys know the vibe. Stay up, stay blessed. Peace.
That's 100.